better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Welcome to Mostly Horror Movie Night.
Mostly. I got a mouthful of dark chocolate.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Sean.
And that was good. That was unique. It's a different take than what normally happens.
That was mid dark chocolate when we started the episode.
We just interviewed. We normally haven't been saying who we're interviewing in these episodes at the beginning, so we just talked to David Firth, who, for those of you who don't recognize him by name, he is the creator of Salad Fingers.
I like rusty spoons.
That was really good.
The feeling of rust.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I think I do a fair good one. I wanted to show him, but I figure that people show him all the time.
Yeah, you can't do his own impression.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Salad Fingers was a huge video sensation, animated short, basically, very creepy, weird short, Newgrounds, when it was in 2004 when we were in.
I was going to say, if you don't know Salad Fingers, what the fuck were you doing in 2004, 5, 6, and 7?
But since then, I mean, David has a huge following. He makes very strange, unsettling, but also very funny and goofy animated, shorts and films. And, he has some 20-minute films, some longer ones. So he is a talent. He is a fantastic person to talk to. We have a really good conversation with him. So very excited for that. Of course, before we get into the interview, a couple of things, as I've said previously in other episodes, thank you guys for listening. This is episode 9, so we're stoked on that, making good progress. Follow us on Instagram at Mostly Horror Movie Night, at Twitter at Mostly Horror. Watch us on YouTube if you want to watch us on YouTube. If you're listening to this right now on, just audio wise, we do release the video. So check that out, especially this interview. There's some funny video stuff on David's end.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. We are very lucky to have another horror story to read.
Ooh.
We got that in our email. So I'm going to go ahead and read that now.
Do it.
It says, "Hi, Sean and Steve. I'm a big fan of the podcast. Listening each week has been great, and honestly, it feels like I've known you guys for forever. So growing up, I was always terrified of horror movies. Does someone get murdered? No thanks. Blood, guts, and gore? Hard pass. Scary demon possession? Absolutely not. To paint as clear a picture as possible, my dad took me to see the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and the trailers were so scary, I had to leave the theater before the movie started. Just the biggest chicken you've ever met. But as I got older and my friends started to get really into horror movies, I tried my absolute best to get into it too. Someone would throw on The Ring or Amityville Horror, and I'd find myself watching with a blanket over my head or by peeking through my fingers. I'd have nightmares for weeks, which would start to fade away just in time for another scary movie night to ruin me. One night, my friend group rented a bunch of scary movies, and after much deliberation, they settled on Paranormal Activity. It was 2009, and found footage movies were all the rage.
I know who wrote this.
I wanted nothing to do with it. A movie that I'm supposed to think actually happened was a new layer of horror I wasn't ready for. But after some buttering up from my friends, I was convinced yet again to give it a shot. I spent the movie squished between two of my best friends, squeezing their hands so tightly they lost circulation. After 86 long minutes, the credits rolled and we all sat stunned in silence. Then it happened. My friend, who was sitting across the room, starts to convulse in front of us. His legs are sticking straight out, shaking feverishly as he groans and shouts out in pain. I'm in a panic, a frozen panic, watching him thrash about. Not a moment later, he shouts the words, "Foot cramp!" My friends bust out in laughter at his very dramatic cramping problem. What do, you ask? I immediately start sobbing. The laughter stops and all of a sudden, the eyes are on me. My friend tries to comfort me. She asks what's wrong. And through tears, I say, I thought he was possessed and the demon from the movie was going to pick us off one by one. Again, my friends burst out into laughter, rightfully so. Now, the foot cramp kid just so happens to be listening to the story right now. Mr. Sean Parker of Mostly Horror Movie Night is the guilty party in this story. He scared me to no end that night. Our friend group to this day still laughs about how silly the story was. After years of watching horror films with Sean and our little group of friends, I became quite the horror movie and scary story person. I can't get enough of them now. Horror movies will always hold a special place in my heart as one of the things that brought my friends close together. Can't wait to watch movies again with you both soon. Foot cramps and all, Kaylee.
Kaylee, I love you so fucking much. Dude, First off, that foot cramp was severe. I was not overacting. Okay. Dude, I'm telling you, it was bad. Like
Bad foot cramps are bad, man. I get it.
you know,
I get it.
you know, when you're just kind of sitting there, you move your body, you know, you like stretch a muscle. I just like, all I did was just push my feet in, you know, like I just tightened my feet, and it just, my big toe specifically was like, fuck you, dude. I've been coming for you for weeks. All right. And it ruined my life. And she's not exaggerating either. She was truly just so scared by that. I think that was the first time I saw Kaylee cry. I've seen Kaylee cry many times since. But that's, as soon as, while you were talking, I was like, this sounds like us. This sounds like our friend group. I wonder if one of our friends wrote this, and you said Paranormal Activity, and I knew it was her.
Yeah.
I love that.
We wanted to try to keep that a secret until the end, but
yeah, well, because
I had its effect.
As it sounded familiar as you were talking, I was like, he usually tells me who wrote it before he starts, whatever. But then, as soon as you said paranormal, and I think she really covers that it's more than just horror movies, you know, like it was an entire friend experience. That's one of my favorite memories of all time. And the conversion of Kaylee, I've talked about this before, but like taking friends that are afraid of horror movies or that aren't into them and converting them over time is one of my favorite things to do. And Kaylee is one of my greatest success stories.
That's good. Oh, our friend group in particular is one that just loves horror movies and loves watching them together. So
yes,
it definitely is. Kaylee, thank you for submitting that.
Thank you.
I had her email it to me, even though we live together.
I love you, Kaylee.
Even though she's my roommate, but thank you for emailing that to me, Kaylee. So yeah, that was a good horror story. Again, if you have a horror story and you are listening to this, send an email to Mostly Horror Movie Night.
I want to stress, you might think that you don't have like an interesting thing. I call bullshit. To you, it might seem mundane, but I promise if you just sit down and just like type some shit up, like you're just talking, I bet you anything will get a kick out of it. Please. Yep.
Mostly Horror Movie Night at gmail.com. Flood my inbox, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a good one. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I've talked about Dreadit before, the horror subreddit of Reddit. I saw something cool that the Crypt Keeper has Chucky's eyes. Did you know that?
No, wait, what?
So here's this thing. It says when a film or television show needs a creepy animatronic puppet, they usually call Kevin, I think it's Yager. As horror's Jim Henson, the prolific special effects expert, has been responsible for the Crypt Keeper, Chucky of the Child's Play films, and various versions of the Freddy Krueger makeup. To create the Tales from the Crypt's decomposing host, Yager used the clear blue eyes from his Chucky fabrication, and it took 6 years to make him fully operational. So yeah, if you look, Chucky's blue eyes, it's the same eyes as the Crypt Keeper.
That is funny. I didn't know that. I know of his work, obviously, but I'm not like, even then, like I feel like now I have to do a bunch of research on him, and we have to get him on the podcast. But I did not know that, and that just makes me really happy. And now I feel like I'm going to spend my evening watching Tales from the Crypt because I have season 1. It's cool because
you instantly look at it and you're like, yep, no, exactly, those are his eyes. Like you can tell instantly that.
I love that.
It's his eyes.
I love that. Wow, what a fun little thing to add to like my brain now when I watch those movies and that show.
Right? Exactly. And then one other thing that we wanted to talk about. So we're recording this on March 24th, a week from today. One of the bigger, I would say, major motion picture releases. Now that, COVID's still obviously a very serious thing that's still happening in our country. It's very good that vaccine rollouts have begun and are picking up a lot of steam, which is fantastic. One of the bigger major motion picture releases of 2021 is Godzilla versus Kong, and that comes out a week from today. If you're listening to this podcast episode's going to come out on the 5th of April, so that means that the movie will have come out this past Wednesday. Sean and I have very different, I think that I'm the only one in our friend group who has my opinion, but we have very different opinions on who we think is going to win.
You're so wrong.
I think Kong's gonna win.
No, dude. Literally no.
Let me hear. Why do you think Godzilla's gonna win?
Okay, well, first off, Godzilla is a literal radioactive dragon, like versus a giant monkey. But here's the thing, because I made a very specific proposal. You think Kong's gonna win. It's not that I think that if they were to fight to the death, Godzilla would ultimately win. But I don't think that that's what's going to happen in the movie. This is the part where you should skip like a minute if you don't want to hear my breakdown of what I think. It might as well be a spoiler of the movie because this is what's going to happen. All right, they're going to fight.
Not out yet. No one needs to skip this.
Well, what I'm saying is like you're going to go and you're going to be like, damn it, I feel like I already saw the movie because Sean was absolutely 100% right. All right, dude, here's what's going to happen. All right, they're going to fight. They're going to fight. Godzilla is going to smack Kong around. He's going to pop, bitch. And you're going to be like, fuck, dude. And you're going to be rooting for him. Like the Godzilla fans are going to be rooting for him. But at a certain point, they're going to be like, yo, like ease up. And then Kong's going to get a second wind, right? Kong's going to come through and he's going to get some hits in. All right. He's got those gorilla arms. All right. Those punches are going to hurt. And things are going to get kind of crazy. You're going to be like, oh shit. You might even think for a second that, whoa, maybe Kong got the upper hand on Godzilla. Maybe this is about to be it. But then something else is going to happen. And they're going to have to team up to fight somebody else. They're going to realize that they have like mutual ground, that they're giant monsters, but they're not the monsters. And they're going to have to fight somebody else.
Whoa. I need to think about that.
Well, did you read my tweet? That's what I was talking about in my tweet.
No,
you're trying to make bets with me.
I don't know what tweet.
Yeah, dude, they're not going to, neither of them are going to win.
I saw Olivia's tweet saying he's a radioactive fucking dragon or whatever she said.
Yeah, I do stand by. If they were to fight to the death, Godzilla would smack Kong around,
I just don't agree, man. I think King Kong, I think that there's a level of intellect that comes with being a primate that allows you, much in the way that humans are the most dangerous animal, most dangerous game. I think that being a primate and having that intellect, not that Godzilla's not like,
he's not dumb.
He's not dumb, but he's not like, his IQ isn't off the charts. I think that Kong is just, he has the smarts to outwit Godzilla. Godzilla's, and going for him. I think Godzilla doesn't know how to sidestep. You know what I mean? Like, Godzilla's just brute force. Kong's gonna, rope-a-dope a little bit and then go for him.
I will say that Kong is going to be lighter on his toes. All right, Kong is lighter
on his toes, dude.
Kong's got that agility.
Sting like a King Kong.
But dude,
that's what they say.
Remember when Godzilla grabbed homie by his mouth and went?
That was sick. I didn't like that first movie, but I liked King of All Monsters. Is that what it was?
We disagree about this entire franchise in every possible way.
Yeah. My opinion is that the first movie is not great, and the second movie, Godzilla King of Monsters, King of All Monsters, it was wonderful. I love that. Do
we have any confirmed, like, to the best of our knowledge, is this the last movie of this run?
I also have seen some things I don't want to spoil anything. I won't say anything, but I've seen some things about this movie that are pretty interesting. So I'm very excited to see it.
Okay.
And
because
it also comes out on HBO Max on the 31st as well. So
which brings up another issue that I think is more important than what we think is going to happen, if I'm being honest. It is unbelievably unfortunate that this movie is coming out during the pandemic, because this movie is you can't, what are you going to watch it on your fucking bedroom TV? No. For the first time, no, you can't. You have to watch it on like the biggest screen that you can possibly find, projected on your neighbor's house, something like that. At least. But even then, I mean, because we have the big projector still, your big projector is in our living room. And that's probably what we'll end up doing here. But at the same time, this is the type of thing where I wish I could go to a theater, and it's not to get all cheesy, but be with like the community, be with this is the type of movie where I'm like, go ahead, throw your fucking popcorn, scream. Let's all have fun together watching this movie. And I'm pissed that as communities, we don't get to do that.
I agree.
It's very sad.
It's a bummer for this movie in particular that I agree with, but I'm hoping it'll be back soon. Like I said, it's good to see where vaccine rollouts are and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think
not
soon,
vaccinated yet, but
neither am I.
Soon.
But
you get to get vaccinated way before I do, probably. It's opening up to the majority of people in Michigan.
Yeah, they are doing that Ford Field thing that I need to check out. But
really,
either way, even with the vaccines, I think that we're going to have enough pushback from people that soon, in terms of getting back to somewhat normal, I think people are a little over hopeful, but I'm a pessimist. Yeah. But I do think there is at least hope now where I didn't really have much before. So,
no, it's true. Yeah. I can't freaking wait to get vaccinated, man.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited. Well, on that note, we will send y'all listening over to our interview with David Firth. Again, thank you guys for listening, and stick around for what we got planned for you after the interview. Yeah, Sean?
I was just going to say, make sure, because we didn't really get to do it, but everybody check out. He has a really cool toy that I want everybody to look at.
One thing that we didn't talk about in our interview, David Firth has a toy of salad fingers. It has opposable thing, like you can like move. They're super long fingers, but you can bend them in like his arms. He made a little stop motion animation advertisement for it that's on YouTube. So check that out. It's not that expensive, to be honest, to have a salad fingers toy. It
I will be getting one.
Yeah, I'll honestly buy one right after we're done.
Yep, same.
It is coming from the UK, so it might take a little bit, but it'll definitely be worth it. So for sure, check that out. It's one thing we forgot to mention during the interview. But all right, guys, enjoy the interview with David Firth of Salad Fingers. All right, we are here with David Firth. David is an animator, director, writer, musician, voice actor, and video artist. He gained fame for the animated series Salad Fingers in 2004 and has continued to make wonderfully inexplicable videos ever since. David, thank you for being on the show with us. We appreciate it, man.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So when I first reached out to you, when we first spoke, I was telling you a little bit about the podcast, how it's called Mostly Horror, because we talk about things all over the genre. And one thing that you mentioned is that you don't think or you wouldn't call your videos or your art horror, which I understand.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, you definitely have a wide range of things, right? So my question to you would be, how would you, if you had to, not that you really can, but how would you explain your artwork or your videos to someone who hasn't seen them?
Well, I use the term horror when someone accuses me of being inappropriate, but apart from that, I generally just it's just there's too many different moods and feelings to just write it off as horror. And my issue with a lot of horror films is that they don't deviate away from horror, so there's no contrast. It's just dark all the way through. There's no humor, there's just nothing but horror, and I feel like it needs something to balance it out. So mine does have elements of horror. It has a lot of elements of horror, but also there's another genre. That's the alarm telling me to do this podcast on my phone. I'll stop that. I'd say there is another genre, and it's not really horror, but it makes you squirm. And some people say it's creepy. Some people say it's, icky or whatever, but it's not horror. I mean, but it's not body horror. It's not gross out horror. It's something else, I don't think it has a name. So, and then there's another area of humor that I do that I don't feel it has a name. So I don't want to box it in. The stuff I do is just me, really. It's everything that I do. And it's just all my different modes and styles. And it doesn't have a name. And it doesn't really have an explanation. It's just that. It's just what it is. That's what I think.
I think
that's totally fair.
I think that's why your videos have been so successful, is because you have dug this niche kind of own genre for yourself, where you can't go and find this type of video anywhere else really on the internet, or artwork that you're creating. It's so uniquely you. So I definitely think that's a 100% great explanation for your work.
I would always tell, if I had to describe it to somebody, I think I would say like surreal, like comedy horror, dark humor. Yeah. it touches on so many different things, and it's just lovely.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't find it funny, and that's good. That's fine. But if it was straight up comedy, then if people didn't find it funny, that would be a problem. But if they find something else to enjoy in there, like the atmosphere or the mood, just they like the satire maybe, but they don't find it particularly funny. They don't think it's light, it doesn't make them laugh. That's fair enough. I always thought that if you're just doing straight up comedy, you got to make everyone laugh, otherwise they're not going to be interested. So
yeah. No, you definitely take people on a ride. You creep them out, you unsettle them, you create an atmosphere, make them laugh, like just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, often I don't think, like, I feel like I should make it funnier, because I feel like to make actual comedy, it's very difficult. I think that's the most difficult thing, because you've got to make sure it's unexpected, and you can't just, like, sometimes I can dream an idea, and I can wake up from a dream and I'll think that's a good idea, that I could put that in something, but I never dream anything that's particularly funny. So I think the comedy is the hardest thing, and I would like to be able to do just straight funny stuff, but I just think if I try very hard, then it comes off as try hard. And comedy's got to feel effortless. So it's just one of the moods. But yeah, it's one of those things I really do wish I could do more straight comedy stuff. But
that's fair. Yeah,
I think the part, like you said, it has to feel effortless, and I think some of the funniest parts in, without trying to be comedy, are the unexpected bits that you have. Even in, like, Sean and I were just talking before, I think Sock 5, your video Sock 5, is one of the most, like, just a full view of, like, all the things that you can put into your videos, because it has some unexpected elements in it that I just think are so funny because they come out of nowhere. Like, they're not meant to be funny, but they just hit you out of left field, and they're so surreal and so unexpected that they make you laugh. And then that video obviously has its gruesome elements, and it's, kind of very strange, off-putting things. But I definitely think that you're hitting it with, like, the unexpected comedy. The thing that we wanted to kind of ask is, can you kind of describe, so going back to the beginning, can you talk about how Salad Fingers kind of came up? Was it something that you just thought of one day, or were you aiming to make this kind of bit about a green character, or what were you looking to do there?
I don't even think the green character was, I think that was the last point of coming up with Salad Fingers, was the way he looked. The name was the first part. There's a friend of mine who helped, come up with the ideas. We would sit and come up with ideas together. He just called me Salad Fingers one day. No reason, no context, nothing. I was just playing the guitar, and he's just like, "You've got salad fingers," and I was, I took that on board, and I thought about that for a few days. And I was making cartoons already at this point, loads of them. I was making 20-minute cartoons that no one was watching, 5-minute cartoons that no one was watching, putting them out in different formats, free web space. I didn't have a website properly. And I was trying to make something for Newgrounds, because I realized that that's where the audience was. Yep. I had to learn the software Flash, though, and I hated it so much. And I still hate it so much, but yeah, I've learned it now, so that's fine. In fact, I was using Flash today to remaster some old files, and it's been crashing, and it's been annoying me as much as it ever has done. Yeah. But yeah, I had to learn Flash to make these cartoons. So I was making these, and I was making them a lot shorter. I was just like 2-minute cartoons. They were just meant to be previews, really, because I had no interest in, like, continuously doing 1 and 2-minute cartoons. I found that really kind of dull. Like, if I'm going to sit down and watch something, I want to be there for 15, 20 minutes. I don't want it to be ended before it's even started. There's no room for development or anything there. So the first one was just kind of like a preview. It's just like, I'm trying to get an audience on Newgrounds so I can then send them over to my website to get hits for my longer stuff, which is my real stuff. Right. And I was just making dumb stuff. And I guess the darkness at that point was growing in my work. I kind of realized I could achieve this sort of some sort of reaction with sickening things, and I was just playing with it a little bit. In fact, my full-length cartoons that I was making, I'd actually wrote an episode, and it was called The Banned Episode, and I wrote all the ideas that you could never put in anything. And the idea was I was going to make it and then say it got banned. I don't know by who, I don't know, because no one watched it. And then it'd be like the banned episode, and I'd make it look like someone else had uploaded it, and you could like, because I always found that exciting when there was like a banned episode of like Family Guy or something. You just like find it like, oh wow, I've got to see this. This is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
In particular, Family Guy banned episode wasn't crazy. It was just very racist. But it's a lot of Jew jokes in it, so they banned it apparently.
Of course,
jeez.
But yeah, so that was it. I was going to make a banned episode. Then I just thought, who cares? You know, like, what are you going to do? Like, if I put some really sickening, horrible stuff in this cartoon, what are you going to do? Newgrounds is all for it. Like, why not? I'm just going to do it. And then people were just reacting to these, like it was freaking them out. And I was kind of like, I kind of like this. I'm going to make some more horrible stuff. But then I got kind of typecast as this sort of, you know, gross out, creepy horror maker. And I wanted to do all kinds of stuff. So that's when I started adding variation.
Yeah.
Let's so for anyone that doesn't know, or anyone that just knows you by Salad Fingers, which is understandable, it got so big, you know, since 2004. Obviously, it
controlled my entire middle school experience.
Exactly. We were talking about sitting in the computer lab in middle school, just like on Newgrounds and finding Salad Fingers and being like, what the
you couldn't get through a day of school without having it quoted to you and doodling it on you know, the sides of your homework and stuff. Like, you definitely had that impact for sure.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's a combination of easy to draw and that kind of what the fuck sort of element.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Well, you also, I mean, like the emo scene, I think was like really growing and picking up at that time. And there were just a bunch of kids that were blasting My Chemical Romance in their ears and watching Salad Finger videos, and I was one of those kids, man.
I was so far away from that scene. I can't believe. I don't know how I got entangled in it. I was listening to like Square Pusher and stuff, and
that's totally fair.
You hit at least the American emo scene, I can assure you.
Yeah,
100%.
Sure.
Well, I know because I had T-shirts in Hot Topic at one point, and it's just like that was clear. I didn't even really know what it was, but then I looked it up, and it's clearly a sort of like gothy emo sort of fashion brand.
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't know? So Hot Topic's just an American thing? I guess I didn't know that. I didn't assume that.
I don't think we have them here. I've never seen one here, but I didn't directly deal with them. I just talked to this company, and they were like, "Oh, when I make some T-shirts, we're going to put them in this shop." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good."
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Sure.
Hot Topic, and then everyone was just like, "Oh, you're such a sellout. You've got T-shirts in Hot Topic." And I was like, "I don't know. Am I? What?"
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
So you have a wide range of things that you touch on. You obviously have, you know, like you said, you were kind of typecast for making this, you know, creepy, gross out, whatever it may be, just disturbing, strange videos with kind of no explanation to them, just kind of in like an open world, you know, no beginning, no ending. You're kind of just thrown into them. But then you also have, you know, you do have a couple of kind of, they're not necessarily straight comedy, but a lot of your more comedic videos have an element of satire to them. A pretty heavy element of satire, whether it's political satire or satire regarding like healthcare for a number of your videos. How do you kind of approach that view on satire, or are you like attempting to make satire when you do?
Well, I don't know about the healthcare. I just hate doctors. I mean, I hate going to the doctors. I was spent a few years going to doctors for certain things that were never resolved by doctors, and they would always just like it was so random going to a doctor. It's just like roll a dice, you know, what have you got? Diazepam, roll the dice again. What have you got? Meditation, roll the. It's just like throwing any kind of shit at me, and it's just they were googling it. You could see them googling it when I was in the thing. They were googling the conditions and stuff. It's like, come on. So I was thinking that was just on my mind a lot when I was making those health reminder videos. So I was like, I'm going to make some sort of health. I didn't think this is about the NHS or anything. That's like the British health service. I was just making stuff about doctors. It was just like, you know, doctor sketch. That's a long-standing comedy staple. I just thought I'd do my spin on the doctor sketch. Yeah, and that's how it turned out. Sometimes it would just be a stream of consciousness, really, and it would have something to do with doctors. I find doctors interesting anyway. I think that it's good to have a doctor character because they've got some sort of authority and power, but also they're there to fix you. But their sort of tools are in, I mean, it's in their hands whether you get fixed. So I think there's something interesting about that.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a scary thought.
But the thing is about satire is I don't ever want to do satire where someone needs to have looked up a specific event or to have read about it in the news to find it funny. Like if I'm watching Have I Got News for You? That's the big British satire panel show that's on every Friday or something. If you haven't read about, you know, the NHS shake-up or something to do with cabinet ministers, you don't really know what they're talking about, and it's not funny at all unless you've read that specific story that specific day. So I never want to do anything like that. I always wanted it to be kind of funny regardless of the era or whether you know what's going on. So like, you know, I don't expect people in Croatia would be keeping up to date with our political developments, as I'm not keeping up with theirs. So when it comes to political, I think I'm more inclined to make fun of the coverage and the news regarding politics than the actual politics themselves, because what can you say? You know, politicians are corrupt. That's it.
Yeah,
fresh
that's
take.
totally fair. Yeah, I love your doctor videos. You officially, okay, so I guess I self-diagnosed myself with melodrama patheticism today. After watching your stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think you do a really good job of catching that atmosphere and the sort of scariness of kind of putting your trust into somebody like that, especially like I'm a hypochondriac. Like those videos hit hard.
Oh yeah, that's
absolutely.
That's the angle I was coming from. You know, there was a chance maybe I didn't even need to be in the doctors in the first place. In fact, I would always sit there in the doctor's waiting room thinking, God, these people are actually ill, and I've just got some weird mind shit going on. They're actually physical. They've got like limbs all twisted, and I'm just moaning about anxiety or something. So that
I mean, still real, you know.
Oh yeah, sure, but
that's fair.
But they weren't any help.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So I'm curious about just like because you said that you don't want to be labeled necessarily or boxed into specific categories, but it does seem like a lot of your videos are pretty dark. Would you say that naturally comes out just in what you take inspirations from in general, or are you sort of trying to like steer with what you're at least somewhat known for and at least touch on those sort of dark elements?
Oh, I've got no interest in giving people what they want ever. So good. I really am interested. Oh, sorry, I'm drinking sparkling water. Never drink sparkling water when you're on microphone, because, and this one especially picks up all the burps.
It's okay.
I'm really interested in dark stuff. It's, you know, it was when I was a kid. I remember a Mortal Kombat when I was a kid. I remember just first seeing that in the arcade, and it was just a fighting game, but then one of them, you know, pulls the other guy's head off, and there's like a spine dangling, and that just did something to me. Just there's something about that. I just thought that's powerful. That made me shocked for a moment. I wonder if I can. Well, obviously I wasn't thinking that specifically, but there's something was going on in there, thinking that's powerful. That's not real, and that shocked me. There's something you can do with shocking. It's really enjoyable emotion. To be shocked in that way, but no one's been hurt. So I think that was always the way I viewed it. Like you can't get any harm from looking at my stuff, but you might feel something. I think that's just where it all began. And it was always dark stuff that interested me. Like some people, they're interested in tear jerkers and romantic stuff, and like that's their thing. But for me, it's shock and horror, and it's got to be fresh shock as well. Like I feel like sometimes if there's too much violence all the way through, you're just desensitized after seeing the first part. There's got to be some balance, there's got to be some quiet parts, some gentle parts. Like if I was to actually reference any horror film that I've seen in the last 5 years, it was probably the first remake, It. And I just felt like halfway through that, there'd just been so much just full on, like, it was just like, I'm tired. Like my brain is tired from watching all that. I can't be affected by it anymore. Like the earlier stuff in the film where it's just creeping up and there's the picture and all that, that's all good. But then as soon as it starts being extremely visual and graphic and you can see the clown and he's doing all the stuff, you get tired of it quickly. And so that's the way I feel about horror. It's like I'm never going to do a full-on horror because I just get tired of it quickly. It's got to be timed, and it's got to be psychological, and it's got to be balanced.
I'm curious then, what would be, if you could give like 1 or 2 horror movies that you think really sort of hit the nail on the head for you, or some that you would consider your favorites, or that don't sort of tire you out? It's like the appropriate amount. The Thing.
Alien. The Thing.
Okay.
I do like The Shining, though the last time I saw it, I was kind of bored. I think it's because I saw the extended version. I'd only ever seen the shortened, the British release, which was much shorter, because he cut it shorter because apparently it didn't do too well in America. But
interesting.
So he cut it shorter, and the English version gets to the point but misses out some of the backstory. But I was bored because I knew what happened, and
gotcha.
I don't know. It's always been one of my favorite films, but I watched it more recently and I was a little bored.
It just didn't do it for you.
As for horror films, they're not always like the Alien isn't straight up horror. It's very suspenseful, and I much preferred that to the second one. But what's that film with Nicolas Cage and everything's all kind of like misty, and it's sort of and he's getting revenge. And that's kind of recent. I can't remember the name of it.
Are you talking about?
Not Mandy?
Mandy?
Yeah. I like that. That was the last horror film that I saw that I thought that's quite original. That is.
Yeah.
It was definitely a ride.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I can't say I remember too much about it, but that was a good atmosphere. I like ones with good atmosphere. And also I've seen so many terrible horror films. I'm trying to think now.
I was gonna say I would love to hear some thoughts.
Okay. Almost nearly all Stephen King remakes. Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. That's fair.
I thought the original was terrible as well, so I expected more from the remake. I thought the original was all like I thought the original is so comedically awful they needed to remake it, but
I hated the remake, so I see where you're coming from with that.
That's totally fair. I definitely didn't love the remake, but I'm always able. I'm just a full-blown horror fan, to be honest. So I'm always able to pull like at least a thing or two that I like out of stuff.
Oh yeah, I liked being there.
Totally fair.
I saw it at the cinema. I liked watching it. I mean, but it wasn't a very good film.
That's fair.
I didn't walk out.
That's fair.
I walked out once of I think it's called Fright Night. Was it a remake? Another remake?
Yeah.
I walked out of that. That was bad. I walked out. That was awful. The remake, and it had that Irish guy in it.
Yeah, Colin Farrell.
I don't think I ever even saw it.
Oh, one I really like is The Mist. Is it The Mist or is it The Fog?
See, that's a Stephen King remake, which I was gonna bring that up because I'm like, it's my favorite Stephen King like adaptation because I think it's great and the ending's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that film. And I like Cube as well. That's another one I like.
Nice. Okay.
Nice. I haven't seen Cube, and I know that's that I almost feel like that's blasphemous to say. It's on my list. I need to see it. I've heard a lot of great things about it.
Just another one that I really hated because I enjoy getting it off my chest. How much it's another Stephen King one, and they're going into the grass. They're in the grass, and then they're in.
is it called Into the Tall Grass or something like that?
That's it. I saw it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it was just like must have been cheap to make that. Every shot was in the same bit of grass. It's just all in the grass.
It's right there in the name.
One of those. It's like he knows the power of you go on. It's not the it's like the place itself is cursed.
Right.
It's always the same. It's like that one where he's in the hotel room, although I did quite like that one. He goes,
1408.
yeah, and then he goes into the hotel room, but it's cursed. It's just, he does
It's
like
all
cursed
about
places. That was okay. That was quite good, but again, I was lethargic. I feel like I was tired at the end of it. It was too much full on, and at first it's scary, and then it's just like
exhausting.
Okay, exhausted by the amount of just constant, but it is crazy and it's not boring. It never. So I did quite like that, but it felt like the same film again, but set in grass and much worse.
Fair.
Yeah, his especially adaptations of his work seem to have the same like vibe or the same like feel to them. So I see what you're, and 1408 and The Mist in particular they both have very good endings. So I think that those are two. I mean, I would say those are probably my two favorite Stephen King adaptations too. So that makes sense.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I think the Mist, like, you've got to accept that it's kind of cheesy. Like, once you like the acting, I think it's just the way because it was meant to be a B movie, wasn't it, or something? Or like it was meant to be in black and white, wasn't it?
It's low budget, and there's actually a cut of it that's black and white. I have one of the Blu-ray version I have has the black and white version too, and honestly, the black and white version is better than the
way better
color one.
Yeah. It hides some of the cheesy CGI, I think.
That's it. The CG looks like something I could have done in After Effects. But, with that, the tentacle or whatever it is coming out the wall. Yeah. Or I don't know where it's coming out. It's coming under the underneath. It's a great film though. Anyway, I really like that film.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have worked on a feature film, right? You worked on Kuso, is that correct? On Flying Lotus.
But I didn't work on a lot of it. I worked on a bit of it. Okay. I was always kind of like, there was a lot of different things I was sort of helping out with, like animation. But as for being on set, I was only on set for one of the parts because I live in England and it's shot in LA. And they're not going to fly me out every time they want to shoot it. They didn't shoot it all in one go. They shot it in different parts. So it would be like there'd be like a 3-day shoot here, week shoot here, and I went out for I think it was a 3-day shoot, and it was the bit that I wrote as well.
So I know that I haven't seen Kuso. I remember when it came out, or where I don't remember where it screened, but it screened somewhere, and I remember seeing the headlines that there were walkouts, even though there wasn't really that many people leaving, and like I saw the grossest movie ever made or whatever, like all that kind of stuff. And now seeing that, I just realized and found out that you were kind of attached to it in some way. It makes sense that you kind of had your stamp on it, I guess.
I don't think my part was even that gross.
Really? Okay.
I think it was just there was a bunch of jizz and shit and stuff, and it was it's a gross. That film was really so much a horror film as it was a kind of gross comedy. But the tales of people walking out of the Sundance screening were greatly exaggerated, because although a few people did walk out, we all got on stage at the end for a little Q&A, and it was still full. I mean, the place was full. So I'd say out of 400 people, maybe 5 walked out.
That makes sense.
Something like that. But the people, the producers of the film, were happy to keep that myth sort of going. It was good press for them.
That makes sense.
I worked on the part where there's in fact, it didn't, I think we kind of agreed that it didn't kind of turn out the way it was intended, that my part anyway, and it certainly didn't really fit in the film, because the film is kind of comedic and gross, and my part was more sort of quiet, and it was meant to be very claustrophobic, but I don't think the set was really. It was a girl that was trapped in a series of pipes, and in my head, she was like it was like there was pipe there and pipe there, and it's just like really crushed up, and it was really claustrophobic. But obviously it wasn't possible on set, so there was more like that kind of space, and kind of lost some of the vibe that I'd gone for. But I think I realized that I don't usually have to explain things to other people. I just make them myself. In this case, I had to explain it to people, and I just thought, oh well, I'll just draw it and I'll just write the script, and it should work. But it doesn't always work.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to kind of further that then, because I saw you. I think, I don't know, it seems like every time you look up anything now, the computer knows to just show you more of it on other applications and stuff. And I saw you have like a Patreon, and you're kind of talking about like advertising in it, and sort of, I guess I just kind of want to get your opinions and thoughts on working with other people in terms of making your art versus just making it yourself, and then also the like how you feel about monetizing art and that sort of thing. I know that's kind of a broad whatever, but
working with other people, I don't really like it, but that's because I feel like it makes it twice as hard. You'd think collaborating with someone would make it twice as easy, but in fact, it tends to make it twice as hard for me, because I have developed a lot of different skills over the years, but explaining my ideas to other people has not been one of them, because I've never needed to. I've had other people come in to do voices and things, and that's fine because I just tell them what to say and set the scene for them. But when it's an entire setup, I've got to explain things, and I would then omit general parts of my story that I think I would rather remove them than have to explain them sometimes. And sometimes it turns out I can't explain them. And also I have a sort of a way of doing things where I have this idea in my head that something might not be as good as it first seemed, and I've got to mute that voice so that I can just push on through and do it before a voice comes in and says this is unnecessary, because I think often those are the best parts of my work. And if it was to go through a committee of people, then they would maybe try and get some more, they would try and sort of work into those details and say, why is this in here? Does this need to be in here? And then maybe on second thought, I might say, well, that doesn't need to be in there. But something that it should have been in there, but it was removed because on closer inspection, it might have been unnecessary. But then again, those unnecessary parts are sometimes the best parts.
Right.
So, absolutely.
In a way that if you're going to present something to a bunch of people who've got to read it and change things, those parts are all going to be gone. And those parts are the parts that everyone remembers of my work, the parts that make no sense and they might not even be needed. The small details, and they will be smoothed off, because the thing is about a bunch of people together making a film is they want it to be smooth. And my scripts are not smooth. They're all jagged, and often things need to be corrected in the edit. And often things need to be added in the edit as well that were never there in the original script. So in those ways, I think working with other people is very difficult for me. Some people can do it great because they can visualize something before they've made it, whereas I can partially. But once I've started making it, then I start coming up with new ideas, and that's part of the fun for me.
Absolutely.
And as for monetizing it, people should absolutely monetize all the work, but as long as they don't have to change anything, and that's it. I mean, that's it. If you can make $10 million from an episode of Salad Fingers, then do it. I can't.
Absolutely.
That's never going to happen. But if you can do that, and no one's going to change anything, then do it. If even if it says sponsored by McDonald's at the start of it, as long as they're not changing the content, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think you clearly have such a unique vision, and this very specific world that you're creating. So I would assume it would be very complicated to let anybody else have too much say in it. or to have to get their approval while making things. And I think that's really interesting. So are you saying that you kind of have like a loose idea with each video, but then you kind of stream of consciousness, just create off of that? You don't tie yourself down or plan everything out before?
Yeah. There's, as long as there's a script that has scenes in it for me, then I know that when I'm recording the dialogue, I'm going to change it all anyway, because sometimes what you write isn't quite as easy and fluid as what you say. So that's got to be changed along the way. And a good actor will do that. A good actor will change the words very slightly so it comes out of their mouths better.
Yeah.
Because we don't all have the same accents and ways of speaking. And, if an American's written a script for an English person, you'd hope the English actor would fit it around, because otherwise it's going to sound wrong. But that's what I do when I start recording. I change everything, and then usually once I'm onto those scenes in specific, I kind of realize I've said the dialogue wrong, so I say it again to get it just perfect. And you can't do that with a team. It's like the recording session would have been weeks ago, and we're on a different part now. You can't just flip the mic on and redo it a bit better. So I think that's what it's just, all those things. It's just getting all those elements perfect, and they're not going to necessarily happen in order. And if I can do them all myself, then I can change them even at the last minute. I could change it on the day of upload. I could add a new element to a video. You're not going to be able to do that with a bunch of people.
So do you, when you're making these videos, I mean, obviously, so looking at one of your kind of longer videos that you have, like Cream, for instance, all of the voices, or at least the majority of the voices, are you, or it sounds like you at least. So is that really just, you're animating on your computer, and then you hop over to your mic and you're recording, and are you just kind of bouncing back and forth, with all the hats, doing everything for these videos that you're making? Or do you have people that you work with at all?
I did get voices for that. I got even Flying Lotus did a voice for Cream. That was
nice.
Good. He's 2 bits. He's just one of the voices that says no. A bunch of people say no on the phone. He's one of those.
Yeah.
But also there's a bit where the Cream's taking over, and it's like footage of the Cream, and he was just screaming like the Cream, the Cream. So that's. But also I have a female voice actor that I work with, because I don't want to be doing like or high voices like fake. I mean, it is funny. It can be funny to do that, but I'd rather just be able to have someone else's voice in there. I don't want to listen to my voice all the time. It's too much.
That's totly fair.
Well, you at least do the grandma in Spoilsbury Toast Boy, right?
No, I don't.
No, really?
Oh, really?
No. My friend Christian does that one.
Okay. I was like, that's definitely not a woman's voice.
Yeah. But it could be. But that's a good voice. I like that one. But with but even with Cream, like I didn't finish. I didn't even have the ending when I started it. Like I started making it, and I didn't even have the ending. I didn't know what the ending was. Everyone thinks it's some big satire about like the government or elites or something, but it was it was just about the Cream, really. It was it was about this cool Cream, and then I just thought I need to end this somehow.
I loved it. The ending was so good. Just to make it Cream, I laughed so hard. That video was great.
Have you seen your influence, or the influence of your work, on anything? I mean, I know that I've seen a couple of interviews where you say you don't watch a lot of TV. I mean, I'm assuming you're on the internet a lot because of what you're creating and what, being on Patreon and YouTube and that sort of stuff. But do you see your influence on any art at all? From 2004 to now?
It's hard to say, because I mean, some people will send me something and say this has ripped you off, and I'll be watching it and I think, well, no, it hasn't. It's maybe because I'm just aware of where I got a lot of my inspiration from, so I'm thinking they could possibly have been inspired by the same things. But someone will send me something, it'll just have some ambient music on, they'll say this has ripped you off, and I'll be like, well, I didn't invent putting ambient music behind animation. It's just I do it a lot. I didn't invent big eyes that point out that way. That's just the elements I use. So yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think if someone has been influenced by me, if they've managed to get into the spotlight somehow through the work, then they've probably got a lot more of their own original creativity in there. So even if they were inspired by me, I might not even notice.
That's fair.
I can't think of a single popular thing that I would say has been influenced by me, because I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to suggest that they'd seen my stuff. They might not have done.
That's fair.
That's fair.
One thing, so obviously being, at least myself being a millennial and being on the internet my entire life, I've seen all of these, popular things pop up. Like obviously Salad Fingers is one of the, I remember I saw a news article call it one of the top 10, YouTube sensational videos just out of, one of the most popular ones. But something that came up in the early teens, I think 2012 or 2013 was Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Have you ever seen that or heard of that?
Yeah.
So that's something that when it came out, obviously it's completely different. It's puppets. It's not, animation. The style doesn't look anything like yours, but I'm like, this has the same strangeness and the same darkness, but also a sweetness to it that
Salad Fingers does. It's like kids TV but messed up. Whereas I didn't think it was anything to do with me when I started. The first thing I thought was Wonder Chosen.
Wonder Chosen.
It could be in Wonder Chosen. It felt, because it's the combination of puppets and very dark humor, which made me think. I mean, I'm sure they were more inspired by Wonder Chosen than by me, or maybe neither. But I think maybe also the fact that it's English is
that's fair. I mean, there is
not many viral things going. English things go viral.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I never thought about that.
There's such a distinct variance in humor, at least from the UK to America. You definitely I mean, so going back to something I talked about before, but in Sock 5, I've been exposed to a lot of British comedy and shows and film and stuff, so I'm aware of it. But I think Sock 5 in particular has some very specific British style of comedy that wouldn't really resonate in America if it came out as American TV, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't want it to. I don't think it would resonate in England if it came out on English TV. Don't assume that we're all sophisticated. Our TV is just as crap. It's even when it's in fact, especially when it's trying to be smart, I think, because there's a lot of panel shows. We have a lot of panel shows in the UK where it's witty people making witty comments about recent events. And
you don't love Piers Morgan?
We thought we'd got rid of him. We sent him to you and you sent him back.
Oh God,
Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh God, horrible
mess.
Also, I find it funny that Piers Morgan to Americans is liberal, isn't he? He's a liberal to Americans, or at least I've seen him in a debate being called a liberal and him accepting it. Whereas English people are going, no, he's right. He's like Trump. He's far right, or at least on the way. But it's weird how that highlights the difference between American and English political climate. I'm saying that to him.
Oh yeah, we're completely disillusioned over here, so
it's definitely not any better. It's probably worse. So one last thing that I wanted to talk about, I've been following you on Twitter. You have a very funny Twitter. I love that. Just like your work, you have a lot of stream of consciousness on there, and I wanted to bring up something that you talked about in January. It's a great idea. And it's an idea for a social network. So you said you wanted to create, or you at least have the idea for, Not Dead Facebook. Can you talk about Not Dead Facebook? Is this
I can't remember the context. No. What was the tweet?
So let me read it for you. It says idea for a social network, Not Dead Facebook. It's for people who refuse to use Facebook but want to let their old friends know that they aren't dead. And then you said,
yeah. Because what I was doing, I was looking on Facebook trying to find old friends, and I'm just like, if you're not on here, then it feels like you're dead.
Yeah.
If you're not on Facebook, I haven't spoken to you for like 10 years. I just want to know if you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
I know you refuse to have a Facebook because that's against your principles, but just, you need to, I'm not, we weren't close enough friends that I could just ring you, or I don't have your number or anything. I just want to know if you're dead, like you're still alive.
Yeah. And at least if they have a Facebook, you want to see if anyone's posted like rest in peace to know that they're dead,
As long as it doesn't say like remembering at the start of it. That's the worst thing. When you look for an old friend and then you go to their Facebook profile and it's like remembering and he's like, oh shit, fuck.
Listen, I think that's a great idea. In your follow-up tweet, you said if you don't have a Facebook, you need to use Not Dead Facebook by law.
Yeah, that's it. Just a register of Not Dead, because otherwise, how are we going to know?
Right. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. You asked if there are any investors. I would invest into it. I don't have a lot of money, but I can throw something to it.
100%,
yeah, 100%. I don't understand like business or anything, but so I don't know what the I don't know. Maybe we'll float it on the stock market. Is that a thing?
Yeah,
I don't know
something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You gotta put it on your Patreon as one of the rewards, as they get to join Not Dead Facebook.
Yeah.
Stock. They can have stock in Not Dead Facebook. Well, I'll sell some stock.
Yeah.
And,
perfect.
Listen, we'll follow up after this. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it out. We'll email my people. We'll talk to your people.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, David, again, we appreciate you being on the podcast, on the show. What are you working on currently? So I know Sock 6 you released at the end of last year. What have you been working on? What do you think is going to be coming out next?
Plug away.
Plug. Oh no, I haven't anything coming out. What I've been doing today has been like remastering and kind of like formatting old episodes of Burnt Face Man. Because I'm streaming them tonight on Twitch, but this isn't live, so I'm streaming them last week on Twitch. So that's what I was doing today, and I'm really cutting it close because it's like an hour and a half before I stream it, and I've not rendered it yet, and I'm still trying to get these widescreen clips because they were all 4:3, so I'm just going into Flash and I'm extending them, but it takes forever. So that's going out tonight. So I've got a new episode of Burnt Face Man, which is not anything like horror, but I needed a bit of a lighter release following Sock 6. So I went for Burnt Face Man, and I don't know, watch my Twitch, because then you'll find out what I'm working on, because you'll see me working on it, and there'll be all kinds of banter, and you can insult me, and
perfect.
Yeah, go on my Twitch.
Awesome. Well, great. David, thank you again. We appreciate you being on the show. Again, follow David on David Firth on Twitch, on Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube, because that's where all your videos are at. All in a concise way. Thank you again for being on the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It was such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to talk to you.
And Mike Tyson here, and this guy. I think. Scrapping away in the background.
Yeah, perfect. We appreciate you being on, Mike Tyson. Thank you so much.
He's hard to get hold of these days.
Yeah, please don't sue us.
All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, cool. See you later.
All right, thank you for listening to that interview with David Firth. He is awesome to talk to, and honestly, one of the best conversations that I think we've had so far.
It was a lot of fun.
It was so fun. We want to do something at the end of this episode that's a little bit different than what we have been doing with our Would You Rathers or Top Fives. And we want to answer some questions. So we reached out to our small audience that we have, and basically just we're looking for, mailbag questions. Ask us things horror related, and let's chat about them. Sean has not seen these, or actually you might have seen 2 of them, but you haven't seen half of them. So we're just gonna throw some questions out there, get some answers, and I think these are pretty interesting questions. So we should have some good stuff to talk about. So let's see, Sean, do you want to talk about? I'll let you choose based on what the question's about. So you want to talk about books, ghosts, murder, or horror movies?
Murder is always fun.
Murder. All right. So we'll go with murder and go back from there.
Okay.
So this question was on TikTok. and this is from We're Bunny Love. And it is, if you gotta be murdered and you have to choose how would you go? It sucks because like there's no like good way to be murdered.
No.
And like
but there's some fun ways.
Well, but also
not fun during.
I feel like it's a cop out to say like whatever's the least painful, because like that's what I'm gonna choose.
I was about to say, like, realistically, if I'm gonna be murdered, I would like someone to V for Vendetta style give me an injection in my sleep and leave me with a pretty rose. But realistically, that's not what's gonna happen. And hypothetically, let's think about the story here. All right, I want it to be an interesting story when it's done.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be like, oh, Sean got a vaccine in his sleep. No, like, all right. I can tell you how I would murder people and we can go from there. I've thought about this a lot. If I was a serial killer, I would be an axe murderer.
You'd be an axe murderer?
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of work. You might in your head, I'm a little guy. It's a lot of energy. I'm not saying I could take out a whole house of people, but like one or two at a time. All right, swing that thing. And I'd have like a big axe too. Like,
I don't know about that.
You haven't thought about it?
I mean, I've thought about like, I guess if I got to be murdered, I don't know. I guess if pain aside, I really wouldn't choose. I don't know. I would want to be doing something fun during, you know what I mean? Like, but I guess it's being murdered. So it's not like I want to go skydiving and get killed. Like it's different. You know what I mean? I was thinking about dying from quicksand the other day. I was like trying to fall asleep and was having these weird like in and out nightmares about quicksand death. So I think that would be just fucking awful.
Just someone pushing you into quicksand?
Not even that, just being in quicksand. Have you ever thought about being in quicksand?
Oh yeah. Cameron's been in quicksand actually. He was like up to his waist.
Cameron's been in What?
Yeah, hit him up. Yeah. Yep. See, it's funny that you say quicksand because you're a tall motherfucker and you'd be like that giraffe in the Robot Chicken skit, the 5 stages of acceptance or whatever. Yeah. You'd be buried up to your head and then you'd be done. You'd hit the bottom and you would just be stuck there, pissed off.
That shit just scares me so much, dude. Because I feel like the stress level just increases every like second.
Oh yeah.
Just more.
Plus, the more you move, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
You're really reliant on other people to help you out of that situation because the harder you try to get out, the more fucked you are.
Exactly. And it's just garbage. It's just there's no good way. So
I'll tell you, this is what I want. This is what's going to happen. God damn it. See, I'm putting this out into the universe. It's going to happen. Watch 20 years.
The FBI guy listening to this. Not
even a femme fatale. All right. Is going to come through and like slowly win me over. All right. Win my heart and just slip like arsenic or whatever the fuck.
Okay.
Into my chicken tenders every day. Yeah. And then I'm done, dude. And then I'm done. All right.
Do you want the succubus from VHS to eat
No,
your head
we're not talking monster. I don't want to be eaten. All right.
Yeah.
I don't want to be eaten. If you want to poison me, that's fine. Slip some cyanide in the Guinness. I'll never know.
That's true.
I'll never know.
That's true. Being eaten.
I down the Guinness. Oh yeah,
unless
dude.
Unless it's one fell swoop, like.
Even then, no, because you got to get chomped in half. Dude, have you ever seen Deep Rising?
The shark movie, the ocean movie.
No, it's an ocean movie, but you're thinking Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
Deep Rising is a movie about like it's like Tremors underwater. Basically, there's like one giant squid thing with tentacles that gets on this ship, and all the tentacles have mouths, and they go around the ship eating people. But they like swallow people whole. And there's a part where this tentacle's in this room, and this dude, you can see someone's body going through it, and they shoot the tentacle, and this guy comes out, and like basically the point is he was being digested.
Yeah.
With like while he was alive. Fuck that. I don't want to be eaten alive. If I'm going to be eaten, I want it to be like jaws right in the center.
Yeah.
So that I'm dead before I'm swallowed. Man.
I mean, when Clover picks up TJ Miller, that's like 3 seconds and he's done.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, well, dude.
Clump and then down.
Dude,
and he's dead.
Jurassic Park, porta potty, T-Rex, click, 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 boom, out.
Well, I think that should satiate that question. There was a bunch of murders in there that sound pretty fun.
Yeah. Murder's always
Arsenic
fun.
by Femme Fatale. I'll go with quicksand for myself. But I think those are two good ones. Nicole on TikTok asks your least favorite horror trope. So
Oh shit.
I'm not thinking, probably not least favorite genre, but least favorite horror trope in horror films.
Oh, that's just so hard.
What grinds your gears? What grinds your gears about horror films?
There's a few things. I don't love. I get really annoyed by like false jump scares that are, or like movies that really focus on just try and make you jump.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's such an easy one, like such an easy answer. Because it's just annoying. Like a jump scare is a very powerful tool that can be used in a horror movie. But if like that's what you're relying on, to me, well, first off, I see them coming a mile away most of the time. Yeah. But even if you do get me, all you're doing is like acting on a primal fear. Like anyone can make someone jump. I want you to give me chills.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can set up a scene that gives me chills that I'm thinking about later, that's way more impressive than you making something pop out really fast. But I might have a better answer if I just got to think about it for a second. What's yours?
So
because you are annoyed by a handful of things.
Well, so it's not a trope per se.
Mm-hmm.
I hate I guess a trope would be the narrative device of the like annoying boyfriend or girlfriend. I think that to show that your lead character, and I guess this goes for really any film, but to show that your lead character is strong, you don't have to also show that they have like an inept partner. I feel like that's a lot of people rely on having an inept partner or just like a shitty partner to show that their lead character is strong. And I feel like it happens in horror films, but I know that this is one thing, it's not a trope, but also bad CGI can just ruin a horror film. So
quick. Yeah.
Like that's such, it's not a trope, but it is such a quick thing. Unless your story is just like air fucking tight, like unless you just have an amazing story. Because that's one thing I know I've wanted you to watch The Host, which has a sci-fi TV level or sci-fi channel level monster, but the story is so damn good that it can overlook it. But otherwise, most of the time, bad CG can ruin like everything.
Coulter has wanted me to watch The Host for a long time, and I've been deterred because I really, So this is, so you're not like a big fan of like 80s, like bad special effects and stuff either. Like, it's not that you hate it, but it's not something like there's a whole culture of horror fans that like, they love that.
Yeah, that's
I really appreciate that stuff. I don't like seek it out the way other people do, but bad practical effects from before at least have a charm to them where bad CGI doesn't. Like it sucks because horror has always been, a genre that is about people getting started in filmmaking, low budget stuff, not that every horror movie is low budget by any means, but a lot of people that are making their first indie films go to horror because you can get away with a lot more. And it's a genre that embraces that sort of exploration and low budget and stuff. But I just don't think I understand that bad CGI is just way easier to do than it is to get a practical effects team, and it's going to be a lower budget to get two people that know Maya, or something than it is. But it just doesn't have the charm. Like I can watch an old horror flick with really terrible practical effects and have a blast. But I've never once had fun watching bad CGI. I'm not a person that likes Sharknado, stuff like that. It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing.
We even when we talked to Patrick Patterson, we talked about the end of Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that's the hand coming through the door, the window or the glass in the door. Is awful, but it's great. It's great because of it being a practical effect. If that was a bad CGI arm, it would not have the same effect. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't
exactly.
even, it wouldn't be redeemable. There wouldn't be that redeemable factor.
Right.
So
you don't get
I definitely agree.
You just get a feeling of, well, that was bad, as opposed to, well, that was fun.
Exactly.
And I do want to say, though, that it's not that bad CGI 100% ruins a movie. Like you said, the story. So like The Ritual has a really cool, like the whole movie, there's not much CGI, but then there's a very big CGI element to it. And the design, amazing, which is the other point that I was going to make, was a lot of the time bad CGI is really just about bad lighting. Like, it's not even that the animation was terrible or that the design was terrible. It's just that they had no clue how to light this, or they didn't have the time or the budget to light it. To make it blend with the rest of the movie. So yeah, I can agree there.
It's funny that you talked about The Ritual, because this won't relate at all, because the mini-sode won't come out till after this, but the guy that did The Ritual did The Night House. I meant to mention that.
Oh,
yeah,
that movie's gonna slap then.
Yeah.
The Ritual was legitimately scary.
It's
especially
good. And
for parts
also
of it.
he worked on, he did one of the VHSs, he did one of the Southbounds, just like Radio Silence did.
Nice, let's get him on the show.
Which is pretty nifty. Hey, we're gonna work on it. That movie comes out in July, I think, so we got time.
There you go.
So yeah, hopefully those were some good tropes, or just things in general. So thank you, Nicole, for that question. The next question is from Instagram, from Chloe. And the question is, what horror film do you think would have made a great novel or good novel? So kind of how I read that, or how I would take that question, is what horror film would I want to expand on, I guess, or get more character information, to elongate in novel form. I can say that reading any film that's made and has a novelization of it. I mean, we've talked about The Shining previously. We talked about it earlier in this episode. The Girl with All the Gifts is a great example. The movie and the book are written by the same person, and the book gives you this dramatic, different perspective on a lot of the characters, which is really neat. I guess while you're thinking, I would love to get, and again, I mean, this is just, I'm just a fanatic of Ari Aster, but I would love to get more information from like the hereditary characters, I guess. More backstory on Toni Collette's character, more backstory on her husband's character, just their family and that sort of stuff. Like, I feel like you're not going to get the same creep factor, or you might, but I feel like you're going to get a lot of background that would make for a great novel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hereditary.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Would you really want, like, how long do you see that book being, I guess, in my head?
Not super long.
Not super thick.
I guess I really like the third person omnipotent type of writing, where it knows what everyone's thinking and can talk about how everyone feels, like that sort of thing, because the emotions in that film are so raw. And so I would like to just get that, like, insight on everything, I guess, is more my thing. I don't like reading in general, like where I'm listening to the audiobook of The Girl with All the Gifts, but I do think, I mean, this is a good question, because I do think that you always see like, oh, what book would you turn into a movie, but what movie would you turn into a book is very unique, and definitely would have its own impact adapting backwards, kind of.
So I think the first thing that comes to my brain would probably be, and it's weird because I was in my head, I was sitting there like, I should probably focus on something that allows me to explore like a world more. But in the end, I think that a Funny Games book could be brutal. I just
bought the original. Still gotta watch it, but yeah, I just bought the original. Not to go off.
Well, no, you're good. It's the same exact movie, just in German and and a little older. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it would be there's a lot of interesting ways that they could play, because they like to, I mean, in that movie, they kind of break the fourth wall a lot, and they do a lot of weird meta things. And I think there would be more opportunity to do that in the book, as well as, so thinking like American Psycho book to movie, like the book is so fucked. Like it has, and I think that the thing that would make Funny Games work as a novel would be focusing on that meta aspect, not overdoing it. Don't like overdo it, really bits and pieces, just like the movie, just like expand on that a bit. But also making sure that you really go full fucking brutal. Like don't throw any punches, you know? I feel like that, at least in this moment, thinking about it, that is probably my answer. There's other ones I'd be curious to see. Yeah, that
definitely comes out of, I wasn't expecting Funny Games.
Can I say this also as a weird whatever? Behind the Mask as a series of graphic novels could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Just an instruction manual.
Yes. Oh, dude, there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good question. I like that question.
That's an interesting
difficult
one. Yeah. So that one's cool. Awesome. And then, so the last question that we have is pretty cool. It's from Ishbu on Instagram, who is Ahmed, my buddy Ahmed. The question is, how do you feel about the theory that ghosts and apparitions are just remnant energy left behind?
Well, okay. So can I just take here, you answer first, because I have like a whole whatever.
Well, you go. Go.
All right. So, here's the thing. There's this, I am a kid who grew up watching Taps, Ghost Hunters and a bunch of shit, and reading books and whatever. So there are different kinds of hauntings. What he would be talking about would be more of like a residual haunting. Like that's kind of what that concept is
explain the residual.
The idea. Yeah. So basically there's the idea that like a ghost is like a conscious being, or like the soul left over that's actively, fucking with people. But then a residual haunting it's actually, you could honestly say poltergeist is kind of like that too. But a residual haunting is more the stories of like, there's an old haunted castle, by your house or something. And on April 14th at midnight, every 4 years, you can hear the scream of the woman that was killed there. And like that whole idea is that she's not there. It's not that she's there waiting every 4 years like clockwork to let out a scream. It's that the tragedy of what happened in that moment was sort of like recorded into the energy of the whatever. So it circles back. And poltergeist can also be like poltergeist are kind of hypothetically an abusive household, right? Like there's like a husband and a wife, and he just beats the shit out of her all the time. And then one night he kills her, kills himself. You move into that house, hypothetically, it might not be that their ghosts are there and they're reliving it. It might just be that the energy of like their whatever caused things to just go flying or mirrors to break in your house. It's not that they're breaking them, but yeah. So but then that touches into, I got another little bit. So I think that if ghosts are more of a thing, one episode, granted Ghost Hunters I think it was pretty much proven to be bullshit or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think they all are, but that's
Well, yes. Okay. I mean, I'm definitely more, you've always been more on the skeptical side. I have like come into the skeptical side, but I don't want to be. It's more that I don't want to be. I think it's a lot of fun. I would love to just go and experience some ghost shit. But in my head, I realized that I couldn't be as critical of like my religious ideas that I was raised with without applying that same logic to hauntings and stuff, just because it's more fun. But either way, there's an episode of Ghost Hunters. Where they go to this like hotel where apparently royalty comes a lot. I wish I should probably know the name of it, but I don't. But either way, the whole idea is that there's this room that this like one queen or something stays in when she goes there, and she died forever ago, and they're in the room and they're doing EVP work, and they're asking her like, are you still here? And she responds, like you can kind of hear her through the static and stuff, and she's like, yes, I'm here. Where are you? And I always thought, like, as a kid, I thought that was super interesting. Like, what if she doesn't even know she's dead? Or what if she's not dead? What if to her that sounded like a ghost talking to her, and it was just time overlapping each other and like touching?
She's on another plane.
Yeah. Well, and in a different, not even another plane. She's alive and well, just like then, but for whatever reason, if time was like a string, it just like looped and touched its, I don't know. So I think it's an interesting idea is the answer to my question. I think there's a lot of whatever is about ghosts. I don't know. I don't know. I would love to go and have some spooky stuff happen, whether it be residual or a full fucking ghost Casper style trying to hang out. That's fine.
I like the thought of your example with the murder up on the hill, where the effect of the tragedy was so heavy that it lingers there. You know what I mean? Like it's the energy of the moment. Yeah. Which I think like physically, like metaphysically or whatever that would be, doesn't really make any sense logically, but regardless, that's here nor there. I like that theory though. And I think if ghosts were real, or if there is like another plane, then you're talking just about afterlife being this cellophane layer over the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this other layer, and you just go bloop to that one when you die, and your energy or your ghost is just on that layer. I think it's interesting. I would love to look up the beginning. I mean, I'm sure that they've been wondering this from the beginning of time, but just the beginning of like ghosts appearing or people seeing ghosts, and kind of where those stories. Oh yeah, of course. But just like, I wonder where those stories kind of come from, and the reason behind it, because I think it's so interesting. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
No, that's totally fair. I think that cavemen people did a lot of drugs that they found out in the whatever. And I don't know. It's every culture for all of time has its ghost stories. And there's clearly a reason that we have these stories. It doesn't mean that it's because of actual ghosts. It's just part of the human condition of the human brain. But I guess my answer was yes.
It's all being
and overall. Yes. But my overall whatever is like the fact that we exist at all, like reality itself is pretty fucking crazy. And we clearly don't know everything about it. That doesn't mean that it's equally as likely that there's an afterlife or that ghosts are real, that there's not, or you know what I mean? It's not equally that it is real to it not being real. I couldn't figure out how to word that at all. No, I know but at the same time, I'm very just like, right now, this like I have no reason to actively believe this stuff. It sucks to have been like a kid that grew up loving ghosts, and to now just be like, I'd love to go have something happen. We got to go on a ghost tour, man. We got to take the show on the road.
I have the opposite feeling, because I was always so afraid of things, and I do still get afraid of things, but I always was so afraid of irrational things. And my skeptic mind and my ability to think things through as I got older helped me be less afraid of things. Like, that makes sense. Me just be like, that is not real. Like, Steve, you know that's not real. And that just helped me, deal with that sort of stuff. So it kind of has the inverse effect. Yours is a loss of innocence, more or less. Yeah. Which is sad.
Well, it's so, God, it would seriously be so fun if like post-pandemic, we could take like a little tour and go stay. We could record different episodes at different haunted like places. Yeah. Like haunted hotels and shit.
Listen, dude.
Chase the spook'em scarums.
It's only about to be April. We have a while until October. We can easily go to Sleepy Hollow. We can easily go to Salem. We'll figure things out. Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ahmed, for that question. That was awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys again for listening to this. This is episode 9.
Leave us more questions.
Yeah, honestly, more questions. We'd love to throw more answers at the end of these episodes, because they're really fun to do, fun to talk about and think about.
Email us
again. Yeah, email us, follow us, all that good stuff. mostlyhorrormovienight@gmail.com. Thank you guys again. Mostly Horror Movie Night. That's all we got.